Hey everybody, it's Shawn. If this is your first time checking out one of my YouTube videos, my name is Shawn Barry and I'm a creative professional with over 30 years experience. I also happen to be partner and creative director of a small boutique agency here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada called Booster Rocket Media, where we do cool things like graphic design, animation, video editing, and all kinds of creative stuff. And so today's video is a little bit different. You can see I'm in a very different environment than I'm usually in. And this is the first video of what I'm calling the interview series. And the interview series will be as many videos as you, the subscribers, want to see, and I hope that you'll give me feedback about that. So this is the first one, and the idea of the video interview series is that as much as I have to teach you, and as much as I like to learn from you and your feedback, and we all help each other learn, what I realize is that I'm sort of one voice, and it's really good for you to hear other people both people that I know and people that you might know, that I don't know, who are also experienced, and they have other things to say about the creative process. So you're learning more than just graphic design, learning more than just creativity. I wanted to put some other creative people in front of you. Ask them some difficult questions, ask them some probing questions, and find out how they deal with the things that you deal with every day. Because they're the same things I deal with, and I can talk until I'm blue in the face, but if you only listen to me, you only get my perspective. And you want to get the perspective of others, which may sound a lot like mine, or it may sound really different than mine. And that's actually where the value is. So I want to get people who have new things to say and other perspectives to give you. And so this first interview series is with my good friend Chris Lesso, who's a speaker, he's a drummer, an educator, and he's also just an all-around decent guy. And so I wanted to get him in front of the camera to talk to you. So we're going to sit down with Chris Lesso and get this party started, so to speak. Hey Chris, so listen, we've been friends for a while now, but I appreciate you sitting down with me and talking because as much as we're friends and we just hang around, we also both have professional tradecraft and we have a lot of similar things that happen to us. And I know that it's really good to talk to other creative people about their struggles. Yours are similar to mine and we've had similar experiences, but yours sound different. And I think that's really important when people listen to somebody else articulate an idea in a new way, which I quite like. But the first thing you're going to do is I want you just to tell me who Chris Lesso is. Who's Chris Lesso today, and how'd you get there?
Thanks, Shawn. It's great to be here. My name's Chris Lesso, and I'm really lucky to be able to do what I'm passionate about and what I love doing, and to be able to serve others at the same time. If you can do what you're passionate about doing and find a way to serve others and contribute to something greater than yourself, then that's huge, and that's what it's all about. So my passion really started when I was this high, playing drums around the house. I used to hit my cat and hit books around the house and hit the furniture and bug my parents and make tons of noise. And that's really where it started. It was just a flame inside me that I couldn't ignore. You know, music and drumming, and it was just awesome. And I was really lucky at that time also to start the piano. And what a great way to get the melodic and the percussion side of things and develop your ear and to learn about song form and things like that. So I recommend any drummer, you know, to play the piano, play the bass. And then I had to save money for my drum sets, start bands. I grew up in a place called Barry, and now it's a big place, but when I was there, it was a lot smaller. I went through a phase of, you know, not doing that good in school and hanging out with the wrong people and that kind of thing, kind of a dark period. And then I was really lucky to really search out some fantastic mentors, just practicing 6 to 8 hours a day and really going for it. And at that same time, I started teaching because it's sharing your passion for what you're doing. When you teach, you learn twice. So it started with a few people asking me to show them things, and then I realized I love teaching and I love sharing what I've learned and how I've been inspired and sharing it to make other people's lives better. I mean, what a great way to make a living. So I was teaching and playing, and I started traveling the world in different bands and being super lucky to do that and growing. And also at the same time, learning about drumming and rhythm and comparing it to all the other areas of the world. So I've traveled to Cuba, to India, all over the States. I can't wait to go to Africa and Brazil and Japan. There's so many other places to go. And taking that and applying it to my drum set. So learning more about rhythm, learning more about drumming from around the world, and playing with some of the best musicians I can. I also love to write, and I write blogs. I've got a couple books in the works. I can't wait till they're out. It's a long process to do that. And I have a concept called LTR, Life Through Rhythm. And it's basically tying drumming and music and the power of that and the fun. So as we become better people, we also become better drummers or better at our craft. So there's such qualities like focus, determination, patience, discipline, grit that I need to, to get what my goals are on this very challenging instrument. The Navy SEALs have an expression, easy day. The only easy day was yesterday because it's over. Today is, life is a huge challenge. So we need to be armed with these qualities to be able to get the most out of every experience and the most out of what our potential is.
So the one thing that I think is interesting about the similarities in what you and I do on our journey is inspiration. And I talk to designers, young designers, and guys my age as well about inspiration because it's one of the hardest things to define. It's also one of the most difficult things to find if you don't know what to look for. So as a musician, you must be constantly cultivating inspiration some way. So how do you go about it?
I love to find inspiration any place I can. And there's a great story about Han Bennick. He's a drummer from Holland. And there's a story where he's in Amsterdam and he's in a hotel or maybe it's his home or something, and he's got the window all the way up and he's on the windowsill and he's got a snare drum and some brushes and he's overlooking the bustling Amsterdam metropolis. And you can imagine all the hustle bustle that's going on, all the conversations, all the dogs and the taxis and all that stuff. And he plays on his snare drum. He imitates the sounds that are emanating from the city, and the city is just almost like a life form, a living and breathing thing. So you can really find inspiration from anywhere. And I love tying together. That's part of what I call my Life Through Rhythm concept, where I'm tying different concepts to the drum. So when I play drums, I might try to think how Picasso painted, or I might think of a figure skater. Or there's a great golfer named Sam Snead, and he does one of the most beautiful swings in the history of golf. So I remember renting a video for a VHS from the library, and kind of studying his swing and finding huge inspiration on that for my instrument. So, there's a great saying too that show me somebody that practices 10 hours a day in their basement, and I'll show you somebody that's very hard to get along with. Because they're so focused on, okay, I got to get the fastest roll or I got to get the fastest paradiddle. And it's like tunnel vision, and they're just isolated, and it's one thing, and it's like telling a story. Drumming is a language, music is a language. So when I sit behind the drums, if all I do is sit in a room for 10 hours, I'm not going to have very much to say. So I'd rather spend a lot of, it's really important to practice every day, but I want to spend time traveling. I want to eat amazing food. I want to meet great people. I want to read books about the great people that have been before me, John F. Kennedy, Gandhi, Mother Teresa. So inspiration can really come from anywhere. Now, all that is non-drumming stuff. So it's eating food, traveling, having different experiences, hiking, rock climbing, stuff like that, skydiving, living life to the fullest. But it's also from the craft itself. So know more about your craft, than anyone that you know. A few months ago, I got to go to New Orleans, which is the birthplace of the drum set, the birthplace of jazz. And knowing about the history of that place and how it relates to my instrument. And the great drummers that had come before me, seeking them out, taking lessons from some of the great Yoda teachers that are out there and learning as much as I can. I've been playing drums for over 30 years, and I started playing the tabla about 5 years ago, and man, you feel like you're just starting over again because it's learning a complete different percussive tradition. Going to Cuba, man, there are some of the best drummers in the world from Cuba. Africa, I haven't been there yet. Brazil, Japan, there's so many great places to go around the world. So really, if you're bored, I think you're a boring person. There's just inspiration is all around you in all forms. You just have to be creative enough and open enough to accept it.
Well, actually, that reminds me of all the stuff you just talked about. Is inspiration is what leads you to your craft, and it's what leads you to create interesting things. But what happens when the feedback from those things aren't necessarily what you expected or how you feel about it yourself, which we talk about negative feedback in the graphic design industry. What do you do when somebody tears your layout down? And we talk about quite a lot. I've written blogs about this and talked to people about it, differentiating between opinion-based feedback and actual feedback. There's two different kinds, but there's also myriads of different layers of negative feedback you can get. All kinds of different things can happen to you in the process of presenting your creative craft. How do you deal with like negative feedback or just comments that go in a way you didn't think they were going to go?
I think true creativity lies when you're not thinking about that stuff. I mean, I've heard different musicians asked, so when you were, that have won Grammys, like Adele or something, I think she won 4 Grammys or 4 or 5 Grammys or something. And it's, they're always asked, like, did you think you would win all these Grammys when you were making this creation? And they always say, heck no. We were just completely focused on the process. So there's a great, I love the saying, focus on the process and the result will take care of itself. I think that's really the key. If you start filling your mind with what other people are going to think or what the result is going to be, I think, and you're out of the present moment. And that's really the key. Creativity lies in the present moment. So if you're thinking down the road of what are people going to think, and also if you're thinking what other people are going to think of you, what kind of reaction is that going to be? You're immediately going to go to a fear right there. And as soon as fear comes into, fear is like the enemy of creativity. And then you're going to hide behind things that other people have done that are safe. And that has no impact because if somebody else has already done it, that's their expression. That's their fingerprint. So hold up your fingerprint right now. That is your unique fingerprint that is in the universe. That is what we have this short time on this earth to express. So really worrying about what other people think and, critics and that kind of thing, the bolder you are, the more people are going to want to tear you down. That is inevitable. And if you study history and also fill your mind with the great innovators of the last, the last 100 years of your craft or the last, as far back as you can go, and look at the people that were bold, that just went for it, like Nikola Tesla to, whoever you can think of. A modern day would be Elon Musk. He was totally ridiculed for everything he did. Think of, musicians, when jazz was new or certain styles was new, it was just like, was ridiculed. So to be new and to be bold, you have to expect that people are going to knock you down. People are not going to understand it. There's a story about Stravinsky when he did The Rite of Spring, and he debuted that in, I think it was 1909, and he was doing things in music that like with dissonance, certain note combinations of notes that hadn't been done before. And I don't know how exaggerated the stories are, but people threw fruit and ripped up the seats, and maybe there were riots. I don't know if that's a little exaggerated, but if you're going to be bold and you're going to do something that you believe in, it's going to be, people might try to tear it down because maybe you're making them a little bit insecure about what their potential is that they're not realizing, or people are just going to not understand it. So focus on the process and the result will take care of itself. Stay in the present moment.
It's a vital way to improve. And I've always talked about this on a constant basis with people as well. One of the things about getting better is understanding how to deal with negative feedback and to see it for what it actually is. Because depending on who says what, you can take one or the other thing away from it. Which leads me to my next question actually, which is about how do you get better? So if you have negative feedback, positive feedback, any feedback, when you stand up in front of people to play, or in your case, you sit down, you're a drummer, but when you're in front of a crowd, when you're getting feedback from students, how do you get better so that each time you hear those things, you say, okay, I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to go and I'm going to improve my craft and get better. What's your routine for getting better?
One huge tactic that I learned, I call it the 3-minute rule. It's doing little tiny things every day that don't seem like they're doing anything. And over a long period of time, huge things happen. Jerry Seinfeld, there's a story about him, and someone asked him, how did you get your craft to such a high level? And he says, I try to tell one joke, at least one, I try to write one joke a day. And if I can write that one joke, I put a little tick on my calendar. And as long as I do that, and even if it just takes 3 minutes, and the thing is to create a chain. So a calendar where you create a chain. And he said, don't break the chain. Don't break the chain. So that's basically it. The 3-minute rule for my craft is drumming is every day I will try to practice, or I will practice 3 minutes. 3 freaking minutes. Now that's not even an entire song. Of course we need to practice more than 3 minutes, to get our 10,000 hours and to really focus. But let's keep it real. I mean, in a busy day sometimes, I think our subconscious mind kind of knows, okay, if I got to put that hour practice in or 3-hour practice in, you just know you won't get it done. It's just daunting. It's kind of, on the back of your mind weighing you down. But if you're like, all I got to do is practice 3 minutes, I can do that. Now, they say about getting to the gym, once you get the Nikes on and you get the the earbuds in and you get the sweatband on, once you get to the gym, you'll be like, oh, this isn't so bad. I'm kind of having fun, and there's some girls over there and I'm having a good time. It's not so bad, but it's just getting your butt to the gym when it's 5 a.m. and you want to stay in your warm bed. It's the same on the drums. So once I get to that seat and I get the sticks in my hand and I start, I'll just make it 3 minutes, a funny thing happens. 20 minutes has went by, or at least 10 minutes has went by, sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes longer. Somebody's like, it's been an hour, I'm gonna keep going. But it's getting that consistency. And my LTR concept, Life Through Rhythm, one of the really cool things about drumming or doing anything you like, it's called being in flow, where you're living your bliss, you're living your passion, is when you're in that state where you forget to eat and you're just full of energy and you're going for it. So I trust that that's going to happen if I can get to the drums. And I'm just telling myself 3 minutes. I'm almost tricking myself because I'm saying just 3 minutes and I'll get that check. So I've made a game out of it, you see. Don't break the chain. I actually have a calendar and I'll put a V on it for victory. And every day I try to get I'll try to get as long a chain as I can. And if I break it, I'm like, I'll tally them up and I got to start again. I make a game out of it. Humans love games, so try to make a scorecard out of it. But when I sit behind the drums and I play, a funny thing happens. I get energy. And it's called completion energy. You will get energy. Don't wait till you're inspired to do the work, and then you'll get inspired. So the 3-minute rule, all I have to do is get to 3 minutes on the drums. A funny thing happens. I get energized, and then I don't even want to leave the drums. So, but that's really it, is trying to do little things every single freaking day.
It's actually interesting you talked about the 3-minute rule as you described it. And one of the things that I talked about in my blog, and I've talked about it in videos and in social before, is sometimes getting better is just about doing web research. It's about looking at work that you admire. It's about just absorbing the material that you need and to make you better, to make you want to be better, because wanting to be better is a big part of it. So anyway, I really appreciate your perspective. I appreciate you sitting down and talking with us today, because this is the first in the interview series and I wanted to start big, and I think it was really great to get somebody who's not a graphic designer. I'll have graphic designers, I'll have guys like me, but I think what you have to say resonates really well, because people can see that it's not just about you, it's not just about your layout, it's not about the one thing you did today. It's a journey. And that journey is one where you have a light on the horizon and you're constantly chasing that down. And so it was really great. So what I want you to do now is look at the camera and give everybody your elevator pitch. So where can they get in touch with you? Where can they learn more?
Thanks everybody for watching. My name's Chris Lesso. Please go to chrislesso.com. I've got tons of free content. I'm always adding as much stuff as I can. And also are the dates that I'm going to be playing shows and doing speaking events. And I've got some books coming out, lots of exciting stuff. Please contact me if you have any comments and you want to say hello. I can't wait to hear from you. My name's Chris Lesso, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
So that was Chris Lesso, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know. Drop a comment below the video and send me an email through the website. If you have any comments about this video, if you like this series, don't like this series, let me know, because I would love to shoot more of them, and I have some people in mind, and I think this would be a really good series, but I want to hear from you. So this was the first in the interview series. Hope you enjoy it, and you stay classy, and until next time, I'll catch you later. Goodbye.